the desert starts to freeze.
Cats converse in perfect Pekingese. And sometimes a dream like you comes true. Now and then when the moon is blue, I'm in your spell.
And folks are talking, they might as well.
Can't be denied.
How can I hide the fact that I go walking
with both my feet 10 feet above the sidewalk? Now I think I see
a taxi up a tree,
a lamppost,
and a spaniel drinking tea.
So tell me that you can see it too. A month of Sundays coming up in June because the moon is blue.
Six dozen of these and 2 pumice stones. Follow that car. Why were you in such a tearing hurry?
What?
Oh, I followed you into the ticket office and bingo, you vanished into thin air.
I'm sorry. I wasn't sure whether... Oh, why didn't you say something?
I did. I yelled, hey. But you were already off in a cloud of dust.
No, I don't mean then. I mean in the drugstore when... Why were you buying pumice stone?
Because I get ink on my hands and pumice stone takes it off.
Oh. And all those rubber bands. What do you need them for?
I use those in my business. I didn't know you were watching me that closely.
You got razor blades, too.
I shave. You didn't buy anything, I noticed.
I was flirting with a divine new shade of lipstick. It was $1.50, and I decided to be sensible. It was so beautiful, too. It was called
Pastel Pink. A rather uninspired name, if you ask me.
For Me.
I rarely use lipstick.
Well, how perfectly sweet of you. You must have been watching me in the drugstore.
Oh, I've been watching you for quite a while. Now, why didn't you smile at me like that in front of the jewelry shop?
I don't smile at men in front of jewelry shops.
Well, the ticket office, then. It wouldn't have hurt you to smile there. You didn't have to scowl in that forbidding way.
I was really trying to look sultry and provocative.
And you just beat me to the elevators.
I know. I got right in because I was certain you were right behind me. Gosh, isn't this wonderful?
Not particularly. Fog's coming in. Can't see much today.
You can see Welfare Island.
You're crazy. Can't see a thing.
I can.
You can hardly see the Chrysler building.
I can.
You're nuts.
Well, I can imagine it anyway.
You remember the sign downstairs? It said visibility limited. Look, there isn't a soul up here.
I don't care. I'm glad I came. Just think, we're over 1,000 feet up. The tallest building in the world. I think it's wonderful. Of course, it was a wicked extravagance, but I don't care. It's worth every single penny of it.
Oh, by the way, here's your $1.20.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, despite your sultry and provocative scowl, I paid for 2 tickets. And when the woman said that you'd already paid for yours, I told her we'd had a little lover spat, so she naturally gave me your money back.
You mean you're treating me to this?
Uh-huh.
Well, how perfectly sweet of you. Thanks a lot. Now I can really enjoy it. And you don't even know my name. What's your name? Mine's Patty. Patty O'Neill.
Don Gresham.
Don. Yes, that suits you. You look like a Don.
Patty, let me ask you something. I don't usually do things like this, and I have a hunch that
I wonder how this gadget works.
For a dime, you can find out.
Thanks, you are nice. Well, before, when you came out, I was only pretending.
I gathered that.
Oh, boy, this is terrific. Now you can see for miles. Wouldn't you like a look?
So I've been up here before. My office is in this building.
Are you drumming like that because you're bored or nervous? Or do you want to hold my hand? You can if you want to.
You're a screwball, no fooling. And you have very sweet hands. What are you thinking about?
I want to cry.
What for?
All those people.
What people?
In Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's over there.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. I still want to cry.
Why?
Because it's so sad.
What, living in Brooklyn?
Now, please don't be funny. I was born in Brooklyn.
I'm not trying to be funny, I swear. I don't know what you're talking about.
Those poor, drab little people. Sweating their lives out every
Now,
day.
nobody's sweating on a day like this, so don't worry.
Oh, don't be so darn practical.
Look, Patty, it's getting all fogged in up here. Let's go down, shall we?
No, I like it up here.
Well, aren't you getting cold?
Only my hands, but they always get cold when I get excited.
Oh, what are you excited about?
Coming up here. I wanted to for years.
Well, then why didn't you?
Well, frankly, because I couldn't afford it. Get a lovely pair of nylons for $1.20. You know why I decided to splurge tonight?
You're terribly sweet.
It'll never stay on that way.
Don't be silly. It's as good as new. Okay, so it isn't as good as new. Let's go down and get some dinner, shall we?
No.
Why not?
You've spent enough on me already.
Oh, don't be silly.
You have, too. A ticket to the tower and a lovely lipstick.
And don't forget the dime for the gadget.
That's right. Here it is.
You haven't by any chance a needle and thread with you, have you?
As a matter of fact, I have. I'll sew it on for you right now. Hold the needle a second.
No scissors?
Okay, let's have the button. Oh, for goodness sake, now you've dropped the needle.
Oh. Well, we'll never find it now. This place is much bigger than a haystack. Let's go down to my office and you can sew the button on there.
Are you sure you've got a needle down there?
Oh, my secretary is full of needles.
Okay, we can try. By the way, Don, what do you do?
Architect.
Oh, that explains the ink and the pumice stone. Are you a draftsman?
No, believe it or not, I'm a full-fledged architect. Build you anything from a cathedral to a bomb shelter.
How much would a cathedral cost these days? A small one. Gosh, your name in the door and everything. Are you famous?
Not in the least. I'm just a good, modern, run-of-the-mill architect.
I thought you said your secretary was here.
Oh, don't be silly. She quits at 5. I said she would have a needle.
Okay, then let's look for it.
Now, don't ask me why he's biting his leg. I have no idea. There must be a needle and thread around here someplace. Let's see, what do we have here? Kleenex. Nothing in there but stamps. Paper clips. Now we're getting warm. Pins.
Have you ever seen her with the needle and thread? Personally, I don't believe.
When you see my secretary, you will know instinctively that she's the type of woman who has a needle and thread available someplace. Let's take a look at my office.
Okay. Oh, isn't that cute? It's just like an umbrella stand. Oh, now I know why you needed all the rubber bands. Oh, do you mind if I take a look?
Go ahead.
Freeport Civic Center. Did you build this?
It's building now.
Well, you go look for your needles.
Needles? Oh, yes. I'll look in the file under N.
Don't you get an awful kick out of looking at a building that you planned and knowing that it all started in your head?
I'll let you in on a secret. First job I ever did off my own bat was a huge, hideous brick warehouse. I used to drive out there at night when there wasn't a soul around and sit in my car for hours gloating over it.
All alone?
Well, huge, hideous brick warehouses don't appeal to many people.
I think it'd be more fun to have someone to gloat with. Who's that?
Her name is Cynthia.
She's quite cute. Very cute. Why don't you keep a picture on your desk?
I used to.
Oh. Are you in love with her?
I don't know. I used to be, sort of, I think. Not anymore, anyway.
Is she in love with you?
Well, how can a man tell?
Well, were you engaged?
Oh, more or less, I suppose. It's all off now. Well, it's obvious that my secretary has run off with every needle in the place. Now, where would you like to eat?
Nowhere.
Now, don't be a little dope. We're going out to dinner, and I don't want any arguments from you.
Would you take me to the Star Club?
Sure.
It's awfully expensive. None of the boys I know can afford it. We usually go Dutch to some spaghetti joint.
Well, personally, I prefer a good steak.
Do you like the Star Club?
I don't go there very often. It's mostly for people in show business.
I'm in show business. I'm an actress.
Oh? Successful or struggling?
Sort of struggling.
Are you one of those dedicated, intense girls who simply must be an actress?
No, I don't think so. I'd just as soon get married, I think. Who am I kidding? I'm just dying to get married. It's not going to be easy, though, because I'm choosy. The kind of men I want don't grow on trees.
Do they prowl the lobby of the Empire State Building picking up girls?
Don't worry. You're not the type I'm looking for at all.
No?
No. You look forlorn and kind of helpless trying to fix your silly old button. I did want to talk to you, but you're much too young. Have you ever been married?
No.
When I get married, I want a nice middle-aged man with gobs of dough. Preferably one who's been married before and had a simply lousy time. Can I have 5 kids for all I care?
It doesn't sound very romantic.
Oh, pooh, romance is for Bobby Soxes. I'd much rather have a man appreciate me than drool over me.
Do you think I have a tendency to drool?
Yes. I think you're probably quite demonstrative. But I think that's swell. I'm very affectionate myself.
Show me.
Was Cynthia affectionate?
You ask too many questions. Come on.
Why did you tell him East 79th Street between 5th and Madison? That isn't where the Star Club is.
I know. That's my apartment. Well, you don't expect me to go to the Start Club with a button missing, do you?
Yes, but I'm...
It's perfectly all right. We'll have a drink first, and then we'll find a needle, and then you can sew my button on before we go.
Bachelors don't have needles.
Oh, I'm an unusual bachelor. You won't mind coming up, will you?
I'm not so sure. Would you try to seduce me?
I don't know. Probably. Why?
Why? A girl wants to know.
A girl's supposed to be intuitive about those things. You just don't go around bluntly asking questions like that.
I do. I always do.
And what happens if they say yes, they're going to try to seduce you?
I generally believe them, and then I'm out one dinner.
And if they say their intentions are honorable?
I generally believe them. But you get fooled sometimes. I hate men like that. I mean, after all, there are lots of girls who don't mind being seduced. Why pick on those who do?
Okay. I won't make a single pass at you. You believe me?
Yes. Yes, I do. You're nice. I like you.
I could be lying.
That's true. Are you?
I don't know. I've never run up against anybody like you before.
How nice.
But I won't take an oath that I'm not going to kiss you.
Oh, that's all right. Kissing's fun. I've no objection to that.
I'll be darned if I know whether you're just incredibly naive or whether you're ripping the pants off me.
Well, it's very simple. Look, let's face it. Going to a man's apartment almost always ends in one of two ways. Either the girl is willing to lose her virtue or she fights for it. Well, I don't want to lose mine, and I think it's vulgar to fight for it. So I always put my cards on the table. Don't you think that's sensible?
Okay, sold. Affection, but no passion. Word of honor.
Affection, but no passion. That's lovely. You could run for president on that.
You know, you're really terribly sweet, even if you are a little bit nuts. Patty O'Neill. You must be very Irish.
Both my parents were born in Brooklyn, but Pop's Irish from way back. When he gets good and mad, he can even talk with a thick brogue.
Oh, what does he do?
He's a cop.
Got change for $10? Yeah. Now, you're sure you don't mind coming up?
Quite sure.
No qualms?
Not a qualm in the world. And I'm not reflecting on your virility either.
Let's leave my virility out of this.
Well, I just didn't want to hurt your feelings. You know, boys are so funny. They're not the least bit flattered to be trusted.
Pardon me, lady, but what makes you trust him so implicitly?
I guess it sounds kind of corny, but I think he's a man of honor. A girl can tell.
I got 3 daughters. I only hope they can tell, too. Oh, thank you, mister. You know, for what I learned on that trip, my psychiatrist would charge me at least $25.
I'm so glad you don't mind.
Mind what?
Well, men are usually so bored with virgins. I'm so glad you're not. Have you taken many girls up to your apartment?
I can't seem to remember.
Well, doesn't the elevator boy raise his eyebrows?
The elevator boy happens to be a button which you press. That was Cynthia.
I thought you said it was all off.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's completely off.
I don't know. She looked pretty determined to me.
This way. Excuse me. Hello? Oh, hello, Mike. No, not tonight, pal. Sorry. Just going out. Later this week? Fine. So long.
Who's Mike?
Friend of mine?
Are you mad at him?
No, of course not. Why?
You hung up so quickly.
Well, there wasn't anything more to say. He asked me to dine, and I told him I couldn't.
Yes, but you could have talked to him. I always talk by the hour to my friend.
I bet you do.
Where are you going with Cynthia's picture?
putting her face down in the drawer with my winter socks.
Well, who on earth wrote that?
I can't imagine. Oh, probably one of the maids. I get daily maid service.
Well, why on earth would she call you a stinker?
Haven't left her a tip in weeks. Needles, as advertised. What would you like, a martini?
Oh, no, thanks. I just want a lemonade or a Coke.
Sorry, but we're fresh out of lemons and or Cokes.
Well, never mind. I'll just settle for an olive or something.
Olive.
Let me have your coat. And what'd you do with the button?
Coat. Button. It's a Picasso lithograph. You like it?
Frankly, I think it's awful. I adore your apartment, but if it were mine, that's the first thing I'd get rid of.
I like it.
Then why don't you hang it in your bedroom?
I like it there. And that's where it's going to stay.
Oh, what a divine kitchen. You should see the stove in our apartment. Vicky swears it must have been installed during the Cleveland administration.
Vicky?
Yes, Vicky, my roommate. And a garbage disposal. Vicky says she'd marry any man sight unseen who'd offer her a kitchen with a garbage disposal.
Don't you like martinis?
I used to, but I gave up drinking.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's sort of high school to drink and smoke when you don't actually crave it. Do you mind if I take my shoes off?
Take off anything you like. You have very pretty feet.
Thank you. Do you have a mistress?
Mistress? Isn't that a rather old-fashioned term?
Well, maybe an old-fashioned term, but at least it's specific. Do you have one?
You ask the most startling questions.
Why? You're a bachelor and you're obviously quite well off. Most bachelors do have them. It's a perfectly natural question.
It isn't a bit natural. You don't go around asking people bluntly if they have a mistress.
Oh, I do. I think it saves so much time. I mean, one always finds out sooner or later. Do you have one, I mean?
As a matter of fact, I don't.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. Well, why don't you have one? Oh, you needn't tell me unless you want to.
Well, maybe because I think it's sort of high school to have a mistress unless you actually crave one.
You know, that's really very true. Was Cynthia?
She was not my mistress.
I never said she was.
No, but you were just going to.
You sure you're not engaged to her anymore? I mean, not even sort of?
Quite sure.
Of course, I only got a glimpse of her, but she's really quite cute. She has such a pretty chin.
She's very pretty all over.
Oh, then she was your mistress.
She was nothing of the sort.
Well, you said she was pretty all over, and I naturally thought...
Why are you so preoccupied with sex?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Do you really think I am?
Well, you're always asking if people plan seduction, or if they're bored with virgins, or if they have a mistress. Now, if that isn't being preoccupied with sex, I'd like to know what is.
Well, you may be right. But don't you think it's better for a girl to be preoccupied with sex than occupied? Now you have 2 needles.
Beginning to rain.
Well, how long since you and Cynthia split up?
Oh, it happened last night. Or this morning. Sometime in between.
Is that why she wrote stinker on the mirror?
Oh, you didn't believe it was the maid.
Not for a second. Are you terribly crushed about it?
What makes you think I'm so crushed?
Well, you put her in with your winter socks. When I asked you if you were still in love with her, you shilly-shally.
Okay, she left an aching void in my heart.
Why did you split up?
You ask entirely too many questions.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm not really inquisitive. It's just that I'm interested in people. Oh, gosh, what time is it?
It's 8:35. Why?
Oh, shoot, my show went on at 8.
You're on television?
Yes. Oh, but I did this show weeks ago.
Oh, too bad we missed it.
Oh, never mind. It goes on again at midnight.
Fine, we'll watch it together.
Oh, no. I'll be home safely tucked in bed by then. But you can watch it. Midnight, Channel 4.
Okay. Now let's go out and eat, shall we?
Okay, let's do.
Wait a minute, you're going to get drenched without a raincoat.
Oh, I know. Let's not go out. Let's fix dinner up here. I'm simply a sensational cook.
Well, unfortunately, I haven't any sensational food.
Oh, you must have something. Well, I thought surely you'd have some leftovers. You know, what I can do with leftovers is nobody's business. Do you like kedgeree?
I beg your pardon?
Kedgeree. It's made with Finn and Hattie. Do you have any Finn and Hattie?
I wouldn't be found dead with Finn and Hattie.
Well, that's an awful thing to say. You haven't even tasted it. It's delicious.
Look, Patty, the only thing remotely edible in this entire apartment is this small crock of cheese which was sent to me last Christmas.
Blue cheese? You know, I can fix the most.
It's going blue. See?
Well, don't you ever eat meals up here?
Nope.
No wonder you're so unhappy and maladjusted.
I'm not a bit unhappy, and my adjustment is just dandy.
Well, I think that's awful, this darling kitchen going to waste. And this lovely icebox and stove. And that garbage disposal with nobody to use it. I want to cry, honestly.
You're the strangest girl I've ever known.
You don't know me. You picked me up.
Well, you don't have to rub it in.
Yes, I do. I think both of us should bear it in mind all the time.
Why?
Because, well, I just think we should, that's all.
Why?
Just in case we start feeling romantic about each other.
Would that be so bad?
Yes. You picked me up, and no matter what happens, you'll always wonder.
What about?
About all the other men who might have picked me up before you did, in just the same way.
I have been wondering about that. Do you do it very often?
Once is enough to leave doubts.
Mine are completely dispelled.
For the time being, maybe. They come creeping back, though. Did you build this?
Not yet. I plan to someday. It's just a sketch, sort of a hideaway cabin.
I like it. Of course, you'll never find lovely old trees like that.
Well, the trees are already there. It's piece property I own. I'm going to build this shack to fit into the trees.
Is this the bedroom?
Uh-huh. Windows on 3 sides, fireplace. Huge fireplace. You could roast an ox in there if you felt like it.
Might be fun to roast an ox in a bedroom.
The limb of this oak tree will just miss the sun deck by about 2 feet.
Gosh, if I owned a tree like that, I'd live in it. You know, when I was a kid, do you like children?
Can't stand the sight of them.
Oh, I suppose you think it's unfair to bring kids into this mess of a world.
Did you ever hear of a mess being cleared up by unborn kids?
You know, I never thought of it that way.
Well, I'll give you something to think about. Now, how about this dinner? You want to fix it for us up here?
But even I can't do very much with moldy old cheese.
Well, there's a grocery store down the block, and I have a raincoat. I could get whatever you need.
Oh, that would be swell. I simply adore cooking, and I rarely get a chance to cook for a man. My roommate's a girl.
I'm relieved to hear it.
Now who's preoccupied with sex?
Okay. What'll I buy?
Well, I'll make you a shopping list right now. Now, don't bother me. I don't want to forget anything. I'm writing everything down but the staples. I'll leave those to your imagination. Here. Go on. What are you waiting for?
I've decided not to run for president. At least not on the platform you drafted for me. Affection, but no passion. Now, what kind of...
You're not passionate now. You're just hungry, and so am I. Go out and get the groceries.
I'll be back in a flash.
You put your rubbers on. It's raining like crazy.
My dear girl, I haven't worn rubbers since...
You put them on.
Don't be so bossy.
I'm not being bossy. It's the mother instinct. How old are you?
30. Why?
30. Let's see. Half of that is 15 plus 7. 22. Isn't that amazing? It just works out.
What works out?
Well, haven't you ever heard that the girl is supposed to be half the man's age plus 7?
What girl? What man?
Never mind. Beat it.
You know, I think I'll buy some ham and eggs, too.
Well, stop worrying, Vicky. He's an architect. And he has a perfectly darling apartment on East 79th Street. And his name's Donald Gresham. And he has lovely soft eyes, like a cocker spaniel. And... Oh, hold on a sec. There's somebody at the door. Oh, hello. You're Cynthia, aren't you? I've heard so much about you. Oh, what an adorable little dog. Oh, Dom went out. He's gone to buy steaks. I'm going to fix dinner for us up here. Say, listen, why did you write stinker on the mirror? What happened? Well, oh, would you like to come in and wait? It won't be very long. Believe me, Vicky, this one wouldn't harm a fly. He loves children, and he owns a perfectly beautiful old oak tree. Oak tree. That's right. Never mind, I'll explain later. Well, oh, there's the door again. Look, I'll call you back later maybe, okay? Goodbye. And don't worry.
Well, I'll be...
What will you be?
I'm sorry, you caught me off base. I didn't expect to find a girl here.
Why not? It's a very respectable hour.
Oh, yes, of course. I didn't mean... Is Mr. Gresham in?
No, we've been out for a little while. Be back pretty soon, though. Won't you come in?
Oh, I don't think I'd better. I thought maybe Don was in. I live directly above
Would you like
here.
a drink?
Oh, I would like a drink, very much indeed. Frankly, I'm still a little bit hungover from last night. And
I know, a hair of the dog. You'll be all right. I've cured more hangovers than you could shake a stick at.
Never shake a stick at a hangover. My name's David Slater. What's yours?
Patty. Patty O'Neill.
Oh, a very pretty name, too. Have you known Don long?
Oh, gosh, yes. Well, of course, it hasn't been very long. It just seems like ages. He's a darling. I'm crazy about him.
That's very interesting. Is he crazy about you?
Oh, it's purely platonic on both sides.
Yes, of course.
I took my shoes off because my feet hurt.
Oh, you should never say your feet hurt.
Why not? They do.
Well, my foot, singular, hurts is an intriguing statement. My feet, plural, hurt is a rather sordid admission.
Well, why don't you sit down? That chair whirls around.
Most of the chairs that I sit in whirl around. Aren't you having one?
No, thanks. I don't drink. Do you know Cynthia?
Yes, indeed.
She was sort of Don's fiancée, you know. I mean, so to speak.
What do you mean, so to speak?
Well, it seems to have been sort of a loose arrangement.
Loose? Did he say it was loose?
Oh, no. But anyway, it's all off now.
Yes, I know.
Don just put her face down with his winter socks. Was she a pill?
Well, that's a rather difficult question.
Why, either she was or she wasn't.
No, it's not quite as simple as that.
Why isn't it?
Well, since you must know, Cynthia happens to be my daughter.
I'm terribly sorry. If I'd had any idea you were a father, I wouldn't have dreamed of asking you if she was a pill.
But you couldn't have come to a better source. She is.
Well, anyway, she's awfully pretty.
What was that you said about his winter socks?
Oh, nothing. Skip it. Don went down to buy steaks just now. I'm going to fix dinner for us up here. I'm simply a terrific cook. Do you like steak?
No, I'm mad about it.
Oh, why don't you stay and have dinner with us?
No, I don't think so. Thank you just the same.
Oh, you mean because of Cynthia? I mean, did they split up because of you? Did you disapprove or something?
On the contrary, I was prepared to love him like a son, like more than a son. Do you know I've been practically fawning on him, ready to give my blessing any moment?
Is Cynthia all broken up about it?
No, she doesn't break up so easily. I am, though. I was counting on that boy.
Oh, well, then you're sore because they split up. You see, I don't know anything about what happened except that he told me it was off.
Uh-huh.
Well, you seem sore, Don. I mean, has he done something he shouldn't have done?
Well, that's what I want to find out.
That's mainly why I'm here, and a theory prevails that Mr. Donald Gresham should be horsewhipped by me.
Why?
Well, that's what Cynthia said this morning, I think.
Well, don't you know?
No, I was not in very good shape this morning. She said a lot of things.
Like what?
Well, it appears that he played fast and loose with my daughter's affections.
Oh, that doesn't sound much like Don.
Well, it's not Don whom I'm quoting.
Oh, Mrs. Slater?
No, she divorced me years ago. Fast and loose is Cynthia's rather dull cliche. I was just not cut out to raise a daughter.
She needs a good influence. She probably needs a mother.
Either that or a good swift kick in the pants.
Well, couldn't you provide her with one or the other? I mean, you look awfully young. Why don't you marry again?
Unfortunately, all the women to whom I am attracted are not a desirable influence.
Then why don't you kick her in the pants?
That's an attractive thought. Look, since you seem to know him pretty well, maybe you can tell me. Would you consider our friend to be a man of principles?
I certainly do. He's charming.
Yes, well, I'm told I'm not entirely without charm, but I have no principles whatsoever. Now, answer my question. Is he a man who...
I don't know what you're driving at.
Oh, you would if you were a father.
Oh, are you worried about Cynthia? Oh, I see. Is she pregnant?
No, of course not. What made you ask that question?
Well, isn't that what fathers are usually so worried about?
Yes, I guess it is.
Well, Mr. Slater, you haven't a single thing to worry about. I don't know anything about Cynthia, but I do know Don would never do a thing like that. He doesn't believe in it. You just forget all about it. You stay here with us and have a nice dinner, and you'll feel much better about everything.
Well, frankly, I am tempted, but oughtn't we to check with Don first?
Why? I'm sure it'll be okay with him.
Well, if I'd inveigled a pretty girl into fixing dinner for me in my apartment on a rainy night and somebody tried to crash the party, I'd be sore as a boil.
Did you say inveigled?
Yes, but I assure you I didn't
Is that
mean...
how it's pronounced? I always say inveigled. Is inveigled right?
Yes, I think so. Let's see now. Inveigled? Inveigled? Well, now I don't know. A silly word, isn't it? Well, nevertheless, the fact remains...
What fact?
That you and he will doubtless want to be alone.
Why?
But he may have things in mind for after dinner.
Oh, no, that's all understood. I only agreed to come up here because he promised not to make any passes, and he hasn't.
But has it occurred to you that after a steak dinner, he might become more affectionate?
Well, gosh, I hope he will. I like being kissed. You know, he hasn't even kissed me since the Empire State Building.
You mean since it was built?
Oh, don't be silly. That's where we met, in a lovely fog. Well, fix yourself another batch.
Oh, I don't mind if I do.
Would you like me to turn on the television?
Is it in color?
Oh, you're crazy. It won't be in color for years.
Let's wait till then.
Gosh, it's raining cats and dogs. What kind of a car do you drive?
A Lincoln? Why?
Have you seen the new Cadillac?
Yes.
They have a fascinating little gadget. Whenever it starts to rain, you press a little button and it squirts water on the windshield so that the wiper won't get it all smeared. I think of it the moment it starts to rain.
You drive a Cadillac?
Oh, heavens, no, don't be silly. But the boy Vicky goes with has one and he lets me work it. Not drive it, work the gadget. Vicky says that I should...
Who's Vicky?
She's my roommate. She's wonderful, you'd love her. She's only a year older than I am, but she clucks over me like a mother hen. Vicky's a Conover model.
Is that what you are, a model?
Well, sometimes. Not really. I'm an actress. Or rather, I want to be an actress. It's a rugged life. The competition is simply brutal. Poor Vicky. She's having a dreadful time.
Nothing to model?
Oh, I don't mean professionally. I mean emotionally. You see, this boy with the Cadillac's in love with her, and he has everything. He's very rich.
You call this having a dreadful time?
Well, yes, because you see, he's married, and he won't do anything to distress his wife. He's a Princeton man.
Oh, that's too bad. I went to a school where distressing wives was practically a required course.
Does Cynthia do anything? I mean, like acting or modeling or something?
No.
Doesn't she do anything?
No. At least, nothing that fills me with paternal pride.
Do you do anything to make her proud of you? What's the matter?
You just connected with the vicious left hook below the belt.
I meant to. It always burns me up. Parents who complain about their children. It's the parents' fault. That's what I always say.
Well, don't say it again.
Why?
Because it's a dull thing to say. Trite, banal, and painfully true.
It's never too late to mend.
Oh, I'll bet you always say that, too.
Well, it's true. You know, you've probably got the makings of a very good father. I like the way your eyes sort of crinkle. You know, you're really very cute. What did you get up for?
Just seemed like a good idea.
Why?
Well, frankly, my child, I felt a sudden, powerful, and very ignoble desire to kiss you till your lips were somewhat bruised.
You did? How lovely. This is one of my good days.
And rather than yield to that ignoble desire,
What's so ignoble about it? I think it's wonderful to be desired.
There's one small point I'd like to clear up. Aren't you more or less spoken for by Don?
Well, if you must know, we only met this afternoon. We sort of picked one another up on top of the Empire State Building.
That's very illuminating.
Yes, but don't go getting any ideas because it was all perfectly proper.
Hey, it's me. Make it snappy.
Okay, I'm coming.
I got enough food here for a month's siege.
Hi, pal. In view of that cordial welcome, I think perhaps I'd better blow.
You stay here. Don, come here.
What the devil are you doing here?
I invited Mr. Slater to have dinner with us.
You did what?
Now, don't be so rude. Mr. Slater happened to drop in, and I invited him to dinner because...
In that case, I think you ought to know that Mr. Slater happens to be...
I know all about it. He's Cynthia's father. But don't worry, he's really not mad at you, and he's not going to horsewhip you.
He's not going to what?
You talk too much. The horsewhipping is a feature that you haven't heard about yet.
No, but do tell.
Would you excuse us for a few moments, Patty? Man talk, honey.
Okay, sure. I'm going to fix dinner anyway, and you two can gab to your heart's content. If you've got your feet wet, you better change your socks. They look wet.
That's a very charming girl.
Yeah, she's a sweet kid. Known her for years. Nice family.
Yes, lots of nice families live in the Empire State Building.
I might have guessed. How long have you been here?
10 or 15 minutes. She never stopped talking.
Okay, so I picked her up. She's still an awfully nice girl.
I couldn't agree with you more. Perfectly enchanting.
All right, let's have it. What is this horsewhipping routine?
My daughter got in at 10 a.m. this morning.
That's right.
She was with you all night.
She spent the night in this apartment? That is correct.
She claimed...
She lies. I never touched her. Moreover, I don't believe you. Now, Cynthia has many faults, but she would never claim that I...
She told me...
She lies.
Oh, quit yapping. She lies in that dramatic fashion. Before I can even finish a sentence. Now, let me try to recall exactly what she did say.
Go ahead.
Well, this morning, I was fixing my breakfast. To be more accurate, a Bromo seltzer. When Cynthia came traipsing in wearing a black strapless formal. Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I mean, she's been late before. 2, 3, even 5 o'clock in the morning, but never at 10 a.m.
Go on.
So I asked her where she'd been all night. She said that she'd slept down here. No evasion, just like that. You could have knocked me over with a feather.
You said that before.
It's an entirely different feather. When my own daughter told me that she'd slept down here, I said to her... What did I say? Oh, yes. I said, "Great heavens, child, you shouldn't have done that." Well, something in that price range, anyway. I always feel uncomfortable on a high moral plane.
What did she say?
She said, "You're quite right. It was a grave error." Then she slumped off into her own room, slammed the door, took a shower.
While you searched for a horsewhip.
Now, it ill behooves you to joke about this. My daughter said, in effect, that she'd trusted you and you'd done her wrong. Her very words.
Is that all she said? Wasn't she more specific?
That's all she said. He done me wrong. Said it several times.
She lies. I never touched her. Believe it or not, I never touched her.
You know, it just occurs to me, that might very well have been the wrong you done her. Well, according to Cynthia's book. Now I can understand why she was so sore this morning. A very humiliating experience. I probably should beat you up anyway.
Let me get this straight. I am to be horsewhipped for not seducing your daughter?
It's quite a new twist, isn't it?
Who is it? Let me in. Don't be such a coward. Don't shush me like that. I want to talk to you. I suppose that girl is still here.
Don't look so innocent. I saw her. She opened the door in her stocking feet. What is she, a hillbilly?
Oh, please don't make a scene, Cynthia. Let's be civilized about this.
Civilized? Why, I'm the most civilized girl you ever met in your...
That's why you leave one-word messages scrawled on mirrors.
If you treat that poor girl the way you treated me, she also will leave her opinion of you in writing. That is, if she knows how to write.
Last thing you said before you pounced out of her this morning was that you were never going to darken my door
Dare
again.
she?
Moments of stress she takes after her mother.
Let me in.
Over my dead body. Your daughter is a girl who not only hates to say no, but hates to have anyone else say no.
Not that I doubt your word, pal, but I've been trying to figure out just exactly what went on between you and Cynthia last night and why.
I'll figure it for you. We'd been to dinner and to a show. I brought her home about midnight, and we went straight up the elevator to your apartment. I said goodnight to her at the front door. Then I came back here. 5 minutes later, Cynthia was back. She said she found you up there, extremely tight and with a young lady.
Yes, she was young.
Cynthia found it amusing, too. It's really sad. Anyway, that's why she didn't want to go back.
Too degrading?
No, she didn't want to cramp your style. So she slept in my bedroom, and I slept here on the couch. A good time was not had by all last night.
Let me just ask you this. Under circumstances such as you have described, why would a young man like you want to sleep on the couch?
Apart from moral barriers, which you wouldn't understand, he might not want to be committed.
Correct me if I'm mistaken, but weren't you more or less engaged to her?
There's a major distinction between an engagement and a commitment.
Oh.
Between you and me, I was unwilling to lose the initiative. I've given it a lot of thought.
Intellectual character, aren't you?
When you're carrying the ball, you don't like to lose it on a fumble in a casual bed.
Well, I'm not a football fan, but is it customary for the ball carrier to function also as the referee? Who blew the whistle?
What are you fighting about now? Football?
Yes. We were just discussing an incompleted pass. So far, so good. In fact, delicious. No ketchup?
Well, wait a minute.
I'll get it.
Well, let her find it. You'll only confuse her.
It seems a shame to let the poor kid do all the work.
Don't be so sentimental. Women love to work.
Let me do it. I'm stronger.
Why are men so helpless? Here, let me show you how to do it.
Oh, well, we really should have had champagne.
I didn't know you were coming. Forgive me.
Here you are.
Ah, thank you. Nothing seems to come out very much.
Maybe it's a bottleneck.
Yeah.
Oh, you and your ketchup. You weren't even aiming it at the plate.
Now, you better do this yourself.
I've got a better idea, Patty. I'll lend you a robe, and then you can take your dress off and clean it properly.
Okay.
Now, look, Slater, you crashed the party, you've had your fun. Why don't you blow?
And leave that poor defenseless little girl down here with you, half undressed. I'll never forgive myself.
Well, isn't this a good dinner I whipped up?
Best I've ever eaten.
Well, don't you think so?
You want to get married someday and stay married? My wife was a southern girl, a cute little thing. She made popovers, superb popovers. I never ate less than 3. And I always said, swell popovers and wonderful popovers, and frequently, some popovers. And then about an hour later, while I was still digesting them, she always used to say, weren't those popovers good? Would you like to know what happened?
You divorced her.
No, she divorced me. Extreme cruelty. I hit her with a muffin dish.
You didn't.
Stainless steel muffin dish. Still warm from popovers. Right across the behind. Raised a wealth that lasted for weeks, according to her lawyer. I was never privileged to see it.
I don't believe you.
Why not? He's just the type.
You struck a woman?
Why, certainly. In fact, I seldom strike anyone but a woman. Oh, I'm not the belligerent type. I'm also a coward.
Now, don't be too modest. Occasionally, you'll strike a small man.
If he's defenseless, yes.
Well, I think you're awful. I'm not surprised your wife divorced you.
The surprising thing is that anyone married him in the first place.
But don't you find I have a certain weird charm?
Yes, that's your whole trouble. You have entirely too much charm.
And it certainly is weird.
I love you, too. Now, my former wife...
Hello?
I want to listen.
Oh, for crying out loud, what do you want? No, I wouldn't think of it.
Okay. If you don't want to come up here, get rid of that little hussy.
Now, none of that, please.
All right, get rid of that dear little girl and let me come down and see you.
Absolutely not. Under no circumstances.
All right, then. If you're going to be so horrible and unfeeling, I'll drown myself in the bathtub.
Oh, stop being so melodramatic.
You think I'm kidding? Do you want to hear the water? There, can you hear it?
Yes, but listen. Now, don't do...
Look, will you at least do this? I can be dressed in 2 minutes flat. Meet me in the lobby, and we'll go and have a little drink at Luigi's. Just a teeny little drink for old lang syne. And I swear I won't make a scene.
All right, but make it snappy. I'm terribly sorry, but I have to go out for a while.
But where are you going to all of a sudden?
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Yes, but you haven't...
Oh, don't try to stop him. He's not been very entertaining tonight. He's hardly spoken a word.
Several words occurred to me, but there was a lady present. Well, it didn't take you long to get dressed.
I've got news for you.
Oh, don't worry about all that. Let the maid do it.
No, I like to tidy up. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
That sort of thing does not appeal to me.
What does appeal to you?
Steaks, liquor, and sex, in that order.
You're not nearly as depraved as you'd like people to think.
In that case, how would you like to marry me?
Be knocked about with muffin pans? Don't be silly.
Yes, it was a mistake to tell you about that at this point. However, you probably have an Irish temper. You might hit back. I'd be a lot more careful with you. How about it?
How about what?
Would you like to marry me?
Wouldn't you feel foolish if I said yes?
As a matter of fact, I'd like it very much if you said yes. That's really why I asked you.
I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth.
That is an emotional and ill-considered figure of speech. If I was the last man on earth and there were 1 million women left, you'd be fighting tooth and claw with every single one of them for the privilege of becoming my mate. You'd be panting to repopulate the world.
Don't kid yourself.
Your loyalty to the human race would overcome your prejudice against me.
You're completely wrong. I don't think the human race is so hard. And I'm not prejudiced against you. Do you hear a dog barking?
I certainly do. It's that blasted animal of Cynthia's. Oh, that blasted dog, look.
Oh, come now, be reasonable. A little dog like that couldn't possibly. Well, where are you going? You better take your shoes off. You're going to get awfully wet.
If you think I'm going to go wading around in there, you're crazy. Of course, the Eskimos are the only civilized race.
Why?
They have the good sense to sell their daughters at birth. I wish I could expose Cynthia to a girl of your incomparable neatness. You're quite sure you won't change your mind and marry me?
Quite sure. Oh, isn't that cute?
In a rather nauseating way, yes.
Well, get me some more towels.
I have plenty in the hall. About that proposal of mine, if you're a stickler for tradition, I'll be only too happy to go down on my knees as soon as you've mopped up completely.
Do you go around asking strangers to marry you?
No. I've asked a few chance acquaintances if they'd like to live with me without benefit of clergy.
Well, why didn't you ask me?
You know, there's a popular theory that nice little girls are always led astray by middle-aged playboys. That isn't so. Only playboys have an instinctive respect for innocence.
You know, you're very sweet and probably a bit drunk.
No, I'm comparatively sober.
Well, in that case, you must be crazy.
Why, you're on record as saying you wanted to marry a well-heeled man of mature years. I'm 41.
Well, one wouldn't know it. You act like an adolescent.
It should be an irresistible combination. You could mother me.
No, thanks.
You could mother Cynthia, then.
Oh, sure, she'd just love that. I'm all of 3 years older.
If she and Don got together, you could be his mother-in-law. Does that appeal to you?
You know, you shouldn't joke about it. Marriage is much too serious. And anyway, you don't know anything about me.
I know enough. You're intelligent and efficient. You're infectiously young and gay. You have an adventurous spirit. You're an excellent cook. You have a charming face and figure and admirable legs.
Go on.
It should be enough for you. It's enough for me.
You haven't said a word about love.
There are altogether too many words said about love.
Nevertheless, the girl likes to hear them.
From somebody like Don, maybe?
Who knows?
But you told us both you were looking for some nice middle-aged character who would appreciate you.
Yes, but a girl wants to be happy, too.
Well, I have an infinite capacity for making people happy.
With muffin pans?
Ended the union with one clean blow. She married a rich Brazilian almost immediately afterwards. Happy as a clam now. Got a handsome settlement, too.
Well, now we can go downstairs.
You can go downstairs if you want to. I'm very happy up here.
Oh, come on. You don't want to stay up here alone?
I have the faintest intention of being alone. If you decide to leave, I shall probably call up a dame I know and ask her to come over.
Don't say dame, it's vulgar. At least say girl.
Well, this girl is quite vulgar. In the sense that she's earthy and uninhibited. By common definition, she's essentially a dame rather than a girl. She's a lot of fun.
Then why don't you ask her to marry you?
Because she'd lose all respect for me if I made such an idiotic suggestion. Why, are you reconsidering my proposal? The offer's still open.
It's very strange. You know, you're really horrible. You're shallow and cynical and selfish and immoral and completely worthless. And I like you. I like you very much.
Enough to marry me?
No. But I could probably do a lot worse. A lot worse. Are you rich?
I'm fairly rich. Now, let's face it, I'm rich, period. I've never done a day's work, and if I never do, I'll always have a very large income, even after taxes. Why?
I've often wondered what it must be like to be even fairly rich. So many of the girls I know marry just for security. It's a terrific temptation. Do you have any idea how much money I have in the world at the moment?
Yes, I believe you have $7.43 in cash and a bank book that shows no balance whatsoever. Oh, I'm not psychic. I looked in your purse while you were fixing dinner.
Well, that wasn't very ethical.
Well, I never claimed to be ethical.
You know, next Tuesday I'm doing a television show, maybe, and I'll get $62.50. And with the $7 I've got, I'll have almost $70. Once I had over $200. For a whole week I had it. It's one thing you miss being rich.
What's that?
The terrific thrill of knowing you've got over $200. It's wonderful. Just feel like going out and spit in somebody's eye.
I won $600 the other night in the gin game.
How wonderful. Weren't you thrilled to death?
Oh.
Oh, don't be so blasé. You can't be that rich.
No, what I meant was I was just $600 ahead. And now I ask myself, ahead of what? I have it here. 6 crisp, new $100 bills.
You're a dope to carry so much money around. I lost a purse once with over $20 in it. I was sick for weeks.
Patty, I'd like very much to give you this $600.
You must be crazy.
Would you accept it?
No, of course not.
There are no strings to it.
Why should you give me $600?
I told you I got no great kick out of winning it. Give me the kick I missed by accepting it.
Look, I can't take money from...
There are no strings to it.
How much is 40 into 600?
15, why?
That's what I average, 40 a week. Gosh, 15 weeks of security.
Sold?
I don't know what to do. I've never taken money from a man.
I won it from a very unpleasant, ruthless capitalist who grinds the faces of the poor. Sold?
It's a terrific temptation. Would you think me a dope if I said no?
Yes, I would, but dopes who said no have contributed quite a bit to human dignity, sad as it is.
I suppose it'd be crazy not to. I mean, it's a fortune. But I was just wondering, well, if people knew that...
Oh, personally, I don't intend to tell a soul. And think of all those eyes you can spit in.
Okay, I'll take it.
Good for you.
Gosh, that's the first time I've even seen one. I don't know what to say. I'm completely at a loss for words.
Oh, that's bad. That's almost unprecedented for you.
I know I do talk a lot, but this, well, just to say I thank you sounds so... It sounds so silly.
It sounds okay to me the way you said it.
It's not enough just thank you. 15 weeks of security for free. I just don't know what to say.
I'm well repaid already.
By what?
By your look of wholesome rapture.
You know, there are strings on my side.
What sort of strings?
Gratitude, affection, a terrific desire to repay you someday, somehow.
But it's a gift, not a loan.
That's what I mean by strings. You wipe out a loan when you pay it back. For a gift, you're always beholden.
And I don't want to hear from you again in person, by mail, by telephone, or by carrier pigeon. Is that clear? And that little girl that you've been making cracks about is worth at least 50 of you.
Oh, boy. When I show this to Vicky and tell her what happened, she's gonna fall over in a dead faint.
You don't think she'll misunderstand?
$600? Nobody could misunderstand that much. Besides, Vicky knows I don't go in for that sort of thing. She's a good girl, too. That's why we room together.
Well, how about that Princeton man with the Cadillac and the high dramatic scruples?
All very sad and hopeless. They just go to very mushy movies once in a while and hold hands. His wife has very low blood pressure. Or maybe it's very high. Well, anyway, she's not very healthy.
He doesn't sound too robust himself.
Oh, you. Unless people are actually... Well, anyway, I think you're awful. There.
I didn't like the way you said that.
Why?
It was patronizing, indulgent, and maternal.
Well, you offered to let me mother you. Didn't you want me to kiss you?
Yes, I want you to kiss me very much indeed, but without the there.
Oh, you're too fussy.
Well, not at all. You'd have felt pretty silly if I had said there.
Well, maybe you're right. Okay, let's try it again. Is that better?
Not appreciably.
Why, it wasn't patronizing or maternal.
I thought it was rather on the daughterly side.
It wasn't giving me all that money on the fatherly side.
Don't be so logical. That's not becoming to the young.
Well, anyway, you're sweet.
Well, now I've seen everything.
Well, gee. Well, gosh, you did get wet. Well, what were you doing, standing in the rain?
Isn't this cozy? You're right. She's worth at least 50 of me.
Cynthia, go to your room.
But, Daddy, you might need a referee.
Cynthia, go to your room.
All right. You say so, Dad.
She went.
I should have known better than
Now,
to
let's
leave you.
not be hasty. Things are not always what they seem to be.
I'd got eyes in my head. It was very obvious.
Well, the obvious is frequently misleading. Now, you take little Patty
You
here.
take her. You're welcome.
We have his blessing.
Oh, stop being so stuffy and so horrible. Okay, so you found me sitting on his knee and kissing him. Is that so awful? My gosh, I swear I'm never going to kiss a man again as long as I live.
That might be an excellent resolve for you.
Never fails. It always messes things up.
And how?
Oh, Dom, would you like me to tell you exactly what happened, why we came up here? And more
Does it make
besides?
any difference how or why?
Well, I think it might. You see, Mr. Slater asked me to marry him.
He asked you to marry him?
Yes. Oh, I hope you don't mind my telling him that.
That's none of his darn business.
Forgive me if I interrupted this touching proposal.
Oh, he proposed ages ago.
Oh, sure, by the couch on his knees, I suppose.
As a matter of fact, it was in the bathroom, and he did offer to go down on his knees. Didn't you, Mr. Slater?
Scout's honor.
What did you put in that steak sauce? Yo him, Bim? I hope you both will be very happy.
Oh, poor Don. What must he think?
It's hard to tell with such a clean-minded young man. They can think of the vilest things.
Gosh, now he probably thinks I'm just a little tramp.
Don't worry about it.
But I do. He still doesn't know why I was sitting on your knee and kissing you.
If having his sense, you won't tell him.
Can I borrow this?
By all means.
Well, I just don't want him to think that I'm a pushover.
Do you think that's what he believes now?
Well, I wouldn't blame him. He has reasons for suspicion.
Well, take my advice and let them lurk.
What?
Suspicions, my child, suspicions. The lurking doubt. Is she or isn't she? Does she or doesn't she? Will she or won't she? Suspicion. The most powerful aphrodisiac in the world.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Kleenex?
Thanks.
Why are you such an idiot standing in the rain like that? What on earth were you and Cynthia talking about anyway?
About you, mostly.
Me?
Yes, I told Cynthia exactly how we met and how you came up here and offered to fix dinner, and what a nice kid you seem to be.
Didn't believe that, did she?
She said, I think I know the type. Sounds like a professional virgin.
Well, what an awful thing to say.
I thought so, too. We had quite a fight about it.
And go on.
That's about all there was to it. I certainly didn't expect to come back and find you up there.
Necking with Mr. Slater?
Nobody said anything about necking. You were getting along with him pretty well, weren't you?
Yes, he's adorable. Too bad you had to barge in just at that tender moment.
Oh, I wish Al Smith had stuck to politics.
Who?
Al Smith.
Who's he?
He built the Empire State Building.
Oh, I see. Of course, it really isn't his fault. We might have met anywhere.
Do you go around kissing every Tom, Dick, and Harry?
Yes. Yes, always.
You were kissing him.
Yes, I was.
A perfect stranger.
Rubbish. He had dinner with us. I've known him almost as long as I've known you.
I suppose he made love to you.
Of course. Violent love. How can you doubt it?
I don't.
To your pickup, wearing your robe and digesting your dinner. Oh, Don, let's be sensible. Would you like me to tell you exactly what happened after you left?
No, what difference does it make anyway? It just seems a pity, that's all. I really thought you were a nice girl. I really did.
And now you don't.
And now I don't.
Well, Mr. Slater does still. I think that's why he asked me to marry him. Don't you believe me?
I don't believe he ever asked you to marry him. I didn't believe it when you first told me or when you asked him to confirm it or now.
Why not?
Because I know David Slater. He's not the type. Now, if you'd told me Slater had asked you to have an affair with him, that I could believe.
Well, I think you're horrible.
Don't bother to cry. Cynthia tipped me off to that gag, too. She said professional virgins...
I'm going.
Okay. Back upstairs to Slater's?
Yes, I am.
Unfinished business?
Yes.
Your name Donald Gresham?
That's right. Say, where do you think you are and what do you think you're doing? Who are you? You can't come barging into people's homes like this. Who are you?
Hey, wait, don't come in.
Good evening. Mr. Gresham in?
No, sir, he's out. Out like a light.
So she killed him. With my electric iron.
Pop! Pop, what have you done?
Oh, you did this. Any particular reason?
I've done my duty as any father would.
Did you break his neck?
He's coming to. 23 years on the force taught me just how hard to hit a man. Leave him be. Are you all right?
Of course I'm all right. Pop, this isn't what you think. How on earth did you know I was here? Did you send for him or something?
Me? Oh, heaven forbid.
Well, then how on earth...
'Twas by the grace of God I telephoned your apartment. Your roommate told me where I could find you.
Oh, that Vicky. Why can't she keep her big mouth shut?
Visiting a bachelor in his apartment. What do you mean
Pop,
by...
please, you don't understand. He wasn't trying to... I know it looks bad, but... Well, can't you realize Don would never do a thing? He's an architect.
I'll talk to you later. We're going now. How many times have I told you that the wages of sin
Pop,
are...
please, not here, not now.
Let me ask you something, sir. Wouldn't you have done what I did if you had found your daughter in a man's bedroom?
That's a good question, Mr. O'Neill. Very good question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, let's go.
But, Pop, we can't...
Here.
We can't leave him lying there like that. He didn't do anything.
Quiet. Let the gentleman take care of him.
Well,
Come on.
Mr. Slater, do something.
Fear not, pal. The avenging father has gone, taking his little daughter with him. Well, that's a grisly-looking eye.
Oh, it's the most outrageous thing that ever happened to me.
Don't look to me for sympathy. You deserved every bit of it in spades.
What?
I'm sorry if you're in pain, of course, but let's be fair about it. You had it coming to you. O'Neill was perfectly justified in what he did. Oh, I wish you'd do something about that horrible-looking eye. I can hardly bear to look at it.
I'll have him kicked off the police force, that imbecile flatfoot.
Maybe an imbecile. He may be a flatfoot, but he's a father. He had every justification for killing you. So did I, for that matter, on behalf of Cynthia. Well, there's no closed season for seducers. The unwritten law protects us fathers.
Unwritten law? Why, you...
I grant you, someone would just write it down. More people would know where they stand, but the principle's sound. Man has the right to protect his daughter. Duty to protect her, you might almost say. Yes, sir, that good, simple man taught me a lesson. A great moral lesson.
Go away. Get out of here.
My poor little Cynthia. My daughter. What she must have suffered at your hands.
You're breaking my heart. Now go away.
Don't be so cynical. There's more joy in heaven over one sinner that repented.
Repented? In your own apartment.
And I'll not ask for wine.
Chloroform beer is as clear as the stratosphere. Drink it each time you die.
Yes, who is it?
In a glass, it's good.
Yes, Cynthia. My poor eye is in great shape. Now, please don't call again. Yes, I've tried compresses, hot, cold, and lukewarm. Of course I'm alone. I'm trying to watch television. No, I can see it very well with my good eye. Now, please hang up or I will. Good night. Oh, my gosh, what do you want?
What do you think I want? I want to talk to you.
What about?
Well, I certainly can't tell you in 2 seconds flat, and I can't do it standing out here in the hall.
Why can't you?
All right. I just came back to ask you exactly what Cynthia meant when she called me a professional virgin.
Shh. This is no time to be calling on people.
I know. I've been back earlier, but it took me such a long time to get rid of my father. We had the most awful row. He was livid. You should have seen him.
I did. I caught the first show.
Oh, that's a dreadful-looking eye. Pop said for me
The
to
less
tell
I
you
hear about your father, the better I'll like it. I've read about police brutality, but it's never hit me in the eye before.
You're dribbling all down your robe. Here, let me fix
Never mind. It's okay.
Well, you should have put some raw steak on it.
If you hadn't invited Slater to dinner, there might have been some steak left for me to put on it.
Look, I'm sorry my father slugged you. But, well, he's an old-fashioned man, and he did his duty. Oh, that's a ghastly-looking eye.
It's just an old-fashioned shiner from an old-fashioned father, and I shall cherish it as such for several days. Now, it's getting late. What's on your mind?
Well, don't glare at me like that. When you look so angry, I can't possibly discuss what
I'm willing to forego any discussion. In fact, I'm willing to write the whole thing off as a horrible nightmare.
The whole thing?
From beginning to end. Yes, who is it?
Darling, have you tried some boric acid for your eye? It's very...
Cynthia, will you please, for the sweet love of heaven, stop telephoning me?
But I only want to...
Cynthia, you ought to hang up at once.
But, Daddy...
Very well, if you refuse to obey me.
What did she want?
She was overcome with concern about my eye.
At this hour?
May I remind you that you also came in person at this hour?
You're tired, aren't you?
I've had a hard day.
If Cynthia came down now and cried over you a little and fussed over your eye a bit...
Let's
I
not
bet you
talk
two
about
would...
Cynthia.
Well, she called me a professional virgin. That's what I came back to talk about. Not Cynthia, don't worry, only what she said.
It was a rather unfortunate phrase, and I was mad.
May I ask, why does Cynthia object to virgins?
Look, nobody in their right mind could seriously object to being called a virgin.
Okay, but it's this professional that makes me mad. I'd like to have that explained.
It's not necessary to advertise it. That's really all the phrase means.
What's wrong with advertising?
People who advertise are anxious to sell something.
I see what you mean. Maybe I do yap about it.
Well, then quit
too
yapping about it.
much. Okay, from now on I will. Don, do you believe in fate?
What?
I mean, I was just wondering what would have happened if it hadn't rained like crazy and you just taken me out to dinner as we planned.
We'd have probably had a much more conventional date.
Yes, just started off on the wrong foot, I guess. Anyway, I don't think you'd be sitting... Oh, my goodness.
That wouldn't be your father again, would it?
I don't know.
Hey, psst, in here. Stay here and don't make a sound.
Okay.
no, not you again. Do you know what time it is?
I certainly do. There's no time for you and Cynthia to be chit-chatting over the telephone. Thought I'd come down right away and tell you.
Why don't you tell her? She's been calling me every 5 minutes.
My dear boy, I'm blue in the face from telling her. I can't get to first base with her. She laughs at me, defies me. I'm hoarse from talking to that girl. Moreover, I'm running out of material.
Isn't this rather belated? You're making a noise like a father.
That's exactly what Cynthia said. Stop me cold. That's a good point.
Look, I want to go to bed. Go away. Please, go away.
That's what I plan to do. Go away. Go far away. I've decided to take Cynthia down to Brazil. Down to her mother.
That's a good idea.
That's a brilliant idea. Do Cynthia good to learn Portuguese. Keep her out of mischief.
Yeah.
Should have thought of it years ago.
Yeah.
Think I'll make the reservations right now. May I use your phone?
You've got a phone in your own place.
Well, I had a phone in my own place, but when Cynthia called you up again just now, I ripped the whole contraption right out of the wall. The only way I could figure to keep her incommunicado. If more fathers had ripped more phones out of more walls, more daughters wouldn't get into trouble. It's only a local call.
Okay, okay. Make it snappy.
You wouldn't, by any chance, have the number to Pan American, would you?
No.
Never mind, I'll get it from information. You got a party line?
No.
Oh, you low-down, no-good, lying, hypocritical obby. You've got that girl in there right now.
No, you don't know. She isn't.
Daddy!
Oh, just a sec. I'm on the phone.
Okay. Wipe that grin off your face. I told her to hide in there. She was just leaving. I didn't know who was at the door, and I didn't want to see her embarrassed.
Oh, you pillar of virtue. Well, I got to hand it to you. You really fooled me. I must be slipping. Of course, it's none of my business, but doesn't that homicidal father of hers dampen your ardor at all? He'd scare the living daylights out of me, I can tell you.
Look, Slater, you've got it all wrong. Patty just dropped by for a moment in her own unique fashion.
But why don't you and I stop trying to kid each other? I'm not sitting in moral judgment on you or on her. I'm a little disappointed. Maybe a little disillusioned. It's a pity because she seemed like such a nice kid. Well, just tell her for me, I had hoped she might have waited at least 15 weeks.
What does that mean?
Well, she'll understand.
She certainly will. How dare you say a thing like that? You're just as bad as Don. I didn't think you'd have any doubts. What happened to your respect for innocence?
In spite of all appearances, I feel it coming on again.
Slater, will you get out of here and go to your own apartment?
You leave him to me. I haven't even started telling him what I think of him yet.
Now, calm down. Don't say or do anything you might regret later. I'm beginning to think I may have jumped to the wrong conclusion.
You said there were no strings, and I thought you meant it.
I did.
No, you didn't. I don't believe it would have entered your mind that there might be anything wrong if I hadn't taken all that money.
Money? What money?
You never should have taken it, and I want you to take it back.
Will someone please tell me what you're talking about?
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Mr. Slater about the money he gave me.
Well, what in blazes did he give you money for?
I don't know. Ask him. I don't know.
You gave her money?
You have a genius for saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. You could have had a great career in the diplomatic service.
That's why I was kissing him. I was thanking him for a gift. Gift of $600.
$600?
Said he wanted playing gin with a bloated capitalist who grinds the faces of the poor. What's so funny?
He won that from me. Just last week he took it. I'm still bleeding. That was my $600.
Okay, then you take it.
Oh, don't be a dope. It's his dough.
I'd like you to take it back, Mr. Slater, please.
Boy Scouts are expected to do a good deed every day. They must have a dreadful life. I wonder why it is that young men are always cautioned against bad girls. Anyone can handle a bad girl. It's the good girls men ought to be warned against.
You're so right. I'd like a drink.
Best thing for you.
I thought you considered it high school to drink unless you actually craved it.
Well, I crave it now.
Soda or plain water?
I'll take it straight.
Say when.
When?
That's a pretty stiff drink, isn't it?
No.
Haven't we confused this poor little girl enough for one evening? Don't you start getting fatherly all of a sudden. Bottoms up, baby. Cigarette?
Thanks, I think I will.
You're really going high school with a vengeance, aren't you?
Yes, across the board.
Now, there's a man who's hard to please. He gripes when you're trying to be pure, and he gripes when you're trying to be wanton.
Slater, for the last time, get out of here.
All right. Do you want to come with me? If you're seriously planning to embark upon a life of sin, I wouldn't attempt to dissuade you.
You wouldn't?
We'd be very discreet, of course. I wouldn't want your father to find out. I know a wonderful little apartment.
Gosh, could I have a maid?
Sure, and a Cadillac with a gadget.
And charge accounts?
That's a very bad routine, Patty. You'd better stick to beer commercials. Good night.
Why does he deliberately go out of his way to hurt me?
Young men in love are always cruel.
We've done nothing but fight.
He suffers, too.
Well, all I know is that I'm thoroughly fed up with being,
The status to which I take it you are referring need not be permanent. To me, the slamming of that door sounded very much like the overture to a wedding march.
Well, then he'll have to apologize. After all, it was his fault that...
Don't let pride get in the way, Patty. You're a sweet kid. Follow your feminine instincts. And remember that understanding is almost as precious as virtue.
Yes, but we've only known one another such a short time.
Long enough to know what you both want.
But isn't it up to him? Wouldn't he lose all respect for me if...
For a gift, one is always beholden. Good night, Patty.
Have you got a lease on this machine?
Why were you in such a tearing hurry?
What?
Well, last night you knocked on my door.
Oh, I know. I wasn't sure whether you heard.
I heard. I was shaving.
At 1 o'clock in the morning?
That's right. And by the time I wiped off the lather and came to the door, you'd evaporated again.
I know.
Why did you knock?
Why were you shaving?
How'd you know I was here?
I didn't for sure. I went to your office. Your secretary said you mooched off without saying a word.
Yes, somehow I couldn't work.
She said you were in a filthy temper. Why did you tell her you ran into a door?
Because I didn't think she'd be interested in the details of my love life.
You're crazy. She was fascinated. I told her the whole story.
I believe you did.
Of Of course I did. She seems like a very nice girl. And she keeps her needles in that little round black box underneath the stand.
Did you get any sleep last night?
No, not very much. There wasn't much night left anyway.
I didn't sleep a wink, and I haven't eaten a thing all day.
You're a dope. Why?
You know darn well why. Because of you. Worrying about you. Wondering what insane thing you'll do next. Wondering if... Oh, when you dashed out last night, I nearly lost my mind. I didn't even know your telephone number.
Oh, don't worry. I know yours.
Accepting gifts of money from men like Slater.
You know, every time I think about him, I want to cry.
You cry because kitchen stoves go to waste.
Well, that poor man is really going to waste, too. It's awfully sad. I told him to get married. You know, he really has the makings of a very good father.
They left out a few important ingredients.
I know. Now, there's someone who really is maladjusted and unhappy and lonely.
Don't worry. In Brazil, he'll get along fine.
Say, listen, I've been thinking about that $600. Can you afford to lose that much money? I think that's awful gambling for stakes like that. I bet that's a month's salary. Or do architects get salary? Well, anyway, I'm quite sure you could do far
Will
better
you
things
kindly
with your-
shut up? We're not married yet.
But you have no right to be... What did you say?
I said we're not married yet.
That's just what it sounded like.
You know what I thought when you smiled at me in front of that jewelry shop yesterday?
I did not smile until we came up here.
Well, anyway, I thought to myself, now that's the kind of smile I'd like with my orange juice every morning.
You did?
Uh-huh. And when you were fixing dinner, and even when you were flirting outrageously with Slater,
Are you proposing to me?
Well, what do you think? What else could I say?
You could say I love you in so many words without all this shilly-shallying.
Well, hadn't I said that yet?
No, and I want to hear it. I want the real thing with all the trimmings, an old-fashioned proposal. Do you know how my father proposed to my mother?
Popped her in the eye.
No, I can't tell you. You wouldn't believe me now. Anyway, he wasn't ashamed to come out and say I love you. I'll give you that much of a hint.
Okay, don't prompt me. I love you, Patty. I love you very much. Even though you are a screwball, and even though you are a little bit nuts. And I'll hang the Picasso in the bedroom.
Not in our bedroom, you won't.
Okay.
Say, listen, do they let children up here at half price?
I don't know. Why?
Well, I just thought it'd be rather nice to come up here for our anniversaries. But with 5 kids, that'll be expensive.
We'll check them downstairs.
Oh, no. I want them to see it. I'm so glad Mr. Smith put up this building. There. Did you mind when I said there?
What?
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
You're terribly sweet.
Just think, we only met yesterday.
It happens once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon. Imagine charging $1.20 just to ride at the top of an old building.
A month of Sundays coming up in June because the moon is